back on Get Down to Business, and boy, do I have a treat in store for you. I am joined by Ray Kaplan, the owner and head attorney at the Kaplan law firm. Ray Kaplan, thanks so much for joining us. Really always love having fellow Chicago-based professionals joining the program.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about you, because this is the first time our listeners are getting to know you. Where did you go to school, and when did you decide to become an attorney, especially focused on helping families plan student loans and really a very important topic?
Well, yeah, so I went to school for undergrad at Boston University, and right afterwards, I went to John Marshall Law School here in Chicago. My family's from Chicago, and I grew up downtown Chicago. And I started practicing with my father, who was a bankruptcy attorney, and he had a pretty large bankruptcy practice. And I'd grown up, working there over the summers and all through actually high school, college, and law school, home for breaks and things like that. And it always kind of sunk in, maybe through osmosis, that there really was not a lot out there in terms of how to help people who had student loans or who had a lot of student loan debt. And back in the day, you could get rid of your student loans in bankruptcy, but then in 2005, they changed that law. And so it was no longer really possible to discharge your student loans in bankruptcy. And this really created a huge problem for borrowers because, well, not only were there people out there who, number one, really don't need to file a bankruptcy, they just have student loan debt, but also people who maybe do need to file a bankruptcy, but then the student loans were a big part of it and there just weren't any good solutions. So after practicing for a few years and understanding the ins and outs of litigation, things like that, I started to focus more on non-bankruptcy solutions for people who had significant student loans, whether federal or private, and here we are.
Amazing. Again, I'm chatting with Ray Kaplan, and you. I think what sets you apart from so many other law firms that are out there is your personality and your personable nature is permeating through the airwaves, which is fantastic. And it's a stressful topic. Bankruptcy, student loans. It's something that affects so many families, and having you on the other side of the phone, or of course the other side of the desk, is certainly very important. And this is a topic that's getting a lot of attention. There's a lot of changes certainly happening policy-wise on the federal level. And I want to spend just 2 minutes talking a little bit about that. You and I have talked a little bit about the IDR account adjustment and PSLF waiver. What does that mean, and why should our listeners care about that?
Well, you're exactly right that this topic creates a lot of anxiety. I can't tell you how many times I have families come into my office and you can sense the tension, right? Because they might have one or two kids who've been accepted at school, and the parents really want to send their kids to the best school possible. But when you're talking about tuition that's $70,000 or $80,000 a year for two kids, for 4 years, I mean, that really puts a financial strain on the family, right? And so what we do is we do a lot of pre-college planning so we can let people know, okay, if you guys take out federal loans, here's who can be the borrower for the student and for the parents, and here's how to finance your college education. Here's what the payments will look like, and here's how we might be able to get those loans forgiven depending on the situation. Because something most people don't know about federal loans is pretty much all of them will get forgiven. It's just a question of when, and you have to know how to get at that relief. That relief is out there for pretty much everybody. You just have to know how to access it. So that's really where we come in. But you're so right. There's been so much going on lately in terms of student loans and student loan law. It's been all over the news, and it's really been in a lot of the politics lately, in presidential politics, because people recognize that this is a big issue that people have. And there have been some huge adjustments under the Biden administration. And one of them is that IDR account adjustment that is honestly the biggest student loan relief program I have ever seen. It's just honestly unprecedented, and people need to know how to get at it because this is the difference between having a $100,000, $200,000 student loan that you've got to pay, $500 to $1,000 a month on, versus having that debt completely wiped out, tax-free, and not even having to pay income tax on it.
That's huge. That's huge. And it's definitely something I know you and your team are keeping track of minute by minute, because again, it affects your clients. And like I said earlier, I know you are a passionate educator. You like to share a lot of content and information to make sure, throughout Chicago and really around the world, that folks know what's going on. And it is complex. It is complex indeed. That's why we rely on you and the Kaplan Law Firm. I've been chatting with Ray Kaplan. Ray, how can our listeners get in touch with you if they want to schedule a consultation or just schedule time to talk?
Absolutely. So they can give us a call at 312-294-8989, so 294-8989, or check us out at financialrelief.com or raykaplan.com. We've got a ton of content on our sites from different WGN and radio appearances and TV appearances, where we talk a lot about student loan law and different remedies for student loans.
Absolutely. And we'll link in our show notes as well. Ray Kaplan, thanks so much for joining us. Again, a quick break on Get Down to Business. We'll be right back.
Thank you.